Hey everyone, it's Karen. I have been tagged in 3 tags recently, all within like a matter of a couple days. But today I am going to do the summer school tag. Doris tagged me and I will link all her info below as well as all the info if you would like to do the tag. But these are all school related questions that go along with her summer school readathon. First question, language arts. Tell us about a book that you were assigned to read in school. And I chose the Oedipus cycle because I don't know how I would do reading this now. I don't know if it would be too hard for me or not now, but it was pretty complex then. And I just really needed, I think, the support of like going through it together as a class with our teacher leading us to be able to be confident in conquering this. And I just adored it. My favorite memory of reading this is when we got to a part where all the pieces kind of came together and we realized something that Oedipus did not know. And I remember our teacher just like looking up and just staring around the room, waiting for us to realize it. Like you could just see it like probably moving across the room as people realized what was actually going on, just one by one, like the facial expressions would probably change. And I just remember her getting so much joy just from watching us. So this book I actually probably should reread. It has Oedipus the King, which we read in class, Oedipus at Colonus, which I have not read, and then Antigone, which we read in class. Question 2, math. It says, when will I ever use this again? Share a book where the character uses math. So I decided to actually show you a logic puzzle book, which I know is not your traditional book and it's not really a character, but I've talked about this in one of my very early videos, but I feel like a lot of people like didn't watch my videos then. This is a book of logic puzzles, which I think are very fun to do as a hobby. But you are essentially a character in this book and you are on this island throughout the summer. You take the boat there with a whole bunch of friends and you have like weekends at this island in this huge mansion. And the people that own the mansion are really into board games and puzzles and like basically if they were around today, they would probably be into escape rooms too. And so you are invited as a guest to the island, and the whole point is that they kind of test out their puzzles and games on you. So throughout the weekend, you will have different activities that you have to solve. So for example, in weekend 1, it's welcome to the island and it tells you like about your trip to the island. And then there's a meet the guests and you have to decide like who is seated where and learn more about the people that you're spending time with on the island. You have to figure out like where in the house each member is staying, and there's like mystery paintings that are stolen, and it's all pretend like you are a guest in this situation. Or there's like a murder mystery, but it's like one of those fake murder mystery things, and it's really funny if I can find it. So one of the things I think is really funny about this book is, first of all, these are fake characters that are at a fake island for a mystery, and then not only that, but you are playing this knowing that this is fake. And it will say in here like there's a murder mystery in the library of all places, and part of the directions in parentheses says, don't be alarmed, the murderer is just part of the game and Grant will be fully recovered by our next mystery game. The other thing I forgot to say is that your character Taylor is actually on the island for a secret reason, and so as you solve the mysteries in the book, you have to figure out what Taylor is there for. The third question is science. What is the most recent science book you've read? And mine would be A Natural History of the Senses by Diane Ackerman. And I did a review on this, but basically she just goes through each of the senses and shares all sorts of really interesting stories about like vision and smell and all that stuff, and shares the science, but also just like interesting tidbits. Question number 4, social studies. Share a book from your TBR that is translated or deals with the government. I have so many like nonfiction history books that I want to read. either biographies of presidents and things like that, or histories, so many, but anyway, I decided to show you These Truths by Jill Lepore. I really want to get through this at some point. It's really long, and when I have started it before, it's also that like each section makes me want to like stop and read a whole bunch of other books about that time period before moving on. And yes, I don't know if I should take the very long approach and do exactly that. Just read a chapter and then read a few other texts that go with it and then move on and just have this take me multiple years, or just plow through it. But I would like to read this. Question number 5, Exploratories. What was the like extra special or elective or whatever that you took a lot of in school? And I don't even know, like I think for me, even though it's not considered an elective, I would say that I took a lot of like language arts or English classes. So when I was in 8th grade, I was nominated for Honors English 9, which means that you take the entire 9th grade English curriculum and you do it in a semester rather than the entire year. And so that allows you to be able to take like other English classes that are at a higher level and that are more fun. And so I got to take a lot of extra classes just because I had that extra semester of time. And yeah, it was fun. I ended up doing AP English as well my senior year, but it was fun just to take all those other English classes along the way. And like one of my secret goals in life, it's not even a goal, it's just like a dream, is I wish that I could just go back to high school and just take like all these fun classes. Maybe I should just like take community college classes for fun. But yeah, I want to take more history classes and more English. Science I'm interested in, but I just like basically like to go outside and learn stuff. I don't really, or read it in books, but I don't really want to take like a science class. And yeah, but I would say I'm interested in more history and more language arts. Question number 6, Common Core, share a fiction book paired with a nonfiction book. So I think that this would be really easy to do, like if you were more purposeful about deciding on a topic that you wanted to learn more about and then finding the fiction and nonfiction. So just looking at my shelves was definitely more difficult than like if I thought about books I could get at the library. But one book that I loved, and I also studied with my junior high kids when I was teaching at an alternative school, is Among the Hidden. And if you haven't read this book is good for adults too. I think that it was really exciting, and there are a lot of interesting themes that could be discussed with like junior high kids. Basically, it's about this little boy, Luke, and he is the 3rd boy in his family. And this book takes place in the future when families are only allowed to have 2 children. So it's about what he has to do to stay hidden so that no one sees him, and just what it's like for him to start growing up and not just be a little boy anymore. And you know, it just gets harder to stay hidden and he gets more curious. The book that I would kind of contrast with that is Escape from Camp 14, which is a true story about a boy growing up in North Korea. And I believe he's quite a bit older when we actually meet him, but he does talk about what childhood was like for him in the society where there actually are like laws surrounding what family looks like. And so I think what's interesting about reading books like this is there are so many real examples of very horrible laws that governments have had in the past surrounding families and life, and just a bunch of different topics that really impact how you live your life. A lot of the things we're allowed to do, other countries are not. Question number 7, research. It says, what was the last topic that inspired you to read a lot about it? And this is just like my regular life, that I always find a book and then I just read all these other books about whatever. So, you know, for example, Jane Austen, I read Pride and Prejudice and I did a review on that, and I shared with you that I liked it, but I didn't love it. But now I kind of have this itch to learn all about Jane Austen. But the book I'm going to share with you is just this random book that is still in my to be read pile that I still have not gotten to. This book I do think kind of connects to Jane Austen a little bit. It's called All the Single Ladies, Unmarried Women and the Rise of an Independent Nation. And so in Jane Austen, obviously, marriage was such an essential part of life, and like, how would you survive if you were not married? And so this is about how our country has changed since many women are choosing not to marry. The back says, today only 20% of Americans between the ages of 18 and 29 are wed, compared to 60% in 1960. Traister set out to investigate this trend at the intersection of class, race, and sexual orientation, supplementing facts with vivid anecdotes from fascinating contemporary and historical figures. The exhaustively researched and brilliantly balanced account traces the history of unmarried women in America who, through social, political, and economic means, have radically shaped our nation into the 21st century and beyond. Question number 8, what would you teach if you were a teacher? I am a teacher. I would like to talk about some of the other things I'm interested in. One of the things obviously is English. I would love to teach high school English, although technically I'm not qualified, so I'd probably have to go back to get like some sort of an undergrad degree to get an extra endorsement or something. I'm not sure. I'm also really interested in one day teaching at the college level. I would like to teach people how to be teachers and how to be special education teachers more specifically, and really advocate for kids. Finally, one of the careers that I thought about doing but chose not to is a child life specialist. And so basically they work in hospitals and they're responsible kind of for the emotional well-being of kids that are going through difficult situations, just really to calm the kids down and figure out what you can do to make them feel more comfortable. So for example, maybe if they're nervous before a procedure, you might use some of the equipment that they're going to use during the procedure and like decorate cookies with it, or use it in a way that's play, just to really prep the kids and get them ready for what's going to happen, process through what happened. And I think still that would be a really fun job to do. Number 9, share a photo from your school days. I'm going to try and find one and I will just like use it as my picture for this video. And question number 10 is tagging some lifelong learners. So first I want to tag Angie. Her channel is all about what she's reading, but it's also about homeschooling and stuff like that. She's a homeschool mama, and so she's a teacher too, and I think it would be fun to see what her answers for these questions are. Of course, Brian at Bookish, even though he's retired, I think he should answer these questions. Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading, you are tagged. Lukash, after our movie discussion last night, you are most definitely tagged, because I am just curious what highbrow selections you will have for what you learned in your literature classes. And finally, Olivia, I believe she is in school right now. I think she's at uni, but I have just really enjoyed watching the videos on her channel, so she is definitely tagged. And it also seems that we have a lot of the same interests. She is very into yoga and hiking, two things that I don't think I've talked a lot about on this channel, but are super big interests of mine. If I did not tag you and you're interested in doing this, you should just do it. Don't wait to be tagged. And if you are not a YouTuber, I'm looking at you, Allie, you should still in the comments answer some of the questions, because I am curious about what you guys think. I will see you later. Bye.